Hey, this is Edwin Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven. If you are trying to get a business development process in place, particularly for those that don't really have it mastered yet, I think you're going to find this edition of Growth Driven very helpful of how to build the skills, the strategies, the map, the process of business development for your small business. Edward Dearborn here, another edition of Growth Driven. Okay, business process, the business development process. I mean, what does that really mean? What is business development? Well, business development is actually building relationships with people so that sales becomes easier. A lot of people get sales wrong in that they don't develop a relationship. They don't use a CRM. They don't drip content. They don't create content. They're very bad at follow up. Uh, I was just in conversation yesterday with a realtor here in Las Vegas, a fairly successful one too. I mean, definitely top of her game, but knows that there's way more that her and her team could be doing. And so it came down to, okay, well, and I always check the basics. Do you have a CRM? Yes. Great. Do you like your CRM? Love our CRM. Okay, good. Do you actually use your CRM? Not that well. Okay, great. How often do you post content? I try to post content on Instagram 3 times a week. And I was like, no, no, no. We need to do 6 times a day, not 3 times a week. So she's out there hustling around, trying to close deals, doing a pretty good job of it, yet knows that there's money being left on the table because her CRM is not being fully utilized. And we both agreed the number of contacts equal the number of contracts. So it's not, she's not even contacted the people in her CRM, nor does she have a business development strategy to get more people into the CRM. And then once they're there, do we have content going out? Do we have real estate reports going out? Do we have success stories? How-to tips on buying a home? How-to tips on designing a home? How-to tips on, just creating valuable content and staying in front of the customers? And the answer was no, 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 no. Now, hopefully we put something together, an agreement, and I will be helping her put all of that business development process in place, the actual strategies, the communication. And I wanted to share with you an article that let me just bring up my screen here. There we go. Okay. So here we have my screen, and this is an article I wrote and I published on LinkedIn, and I also emailed it out. And it's called Boring Marketing That Makes Millions. And I'm just going to read it to you here. For those that are not on my email list, don't follow me on LinkedIn, and are going to listen to this in the future as a podcast. So here goes. Boring Marketing That Makes Millions. Mad Men, the TV series, ruined what selling, advertising, and marketing really is for most businesses because it's not that sexy. While these fields have their necessary creative side, which still offers incredible appeal to entrepreneurs and the artists in all of us, what drives sales and growth is the boring. CRMs are not sexy, but they work when leveraged correctly. Getting on the phone and calling for hours and hours with very little results happening that day can be depressing. Going to trade shows and presentations gets boring and tiresome once you've been on the road for a number of years, but they work. Building email drip funnels can be painful, expensive, and requires a lot of analysis and reiteration to get it right. Not fun, but highly effective when you finally figured it all out. And spending a lot of money to see which ads work and which don't can be worrisome, frustrating, expensive, and many times a failure. I told a group of sales professionals, quote, work on keeping your work at least 51% joyful, because the other 49% is going to be a grind and boring, unquote. Those who make millions master the boring. I'll say that again. Those who make millions master the boring. If you can master the boring and stay at it for years, day in, day out, you can make millions. Ask any top producer in real estate, financial services, or healthcare. Each and every day, they make their calls, their contacts, they set appointments, and they close deals. They do their presentations, and they know that sales and marketing is about knowing and hitting their numbers day in, day out. Now, of course, there is still that very exciting aspect to advertising and marketing, the creative that makes it all worthwhile, fun, and motivating. But the boring activities support any creative idea, plan, business, or brand. Remain creative always, but also know that the millions to be made rest upon the mastery of and remaining consistent with the boring. Okay, so now this is where sales becomes the grind. And there is a grind aspect to business development. There's a lot of ideation, creation about the content, yes, and about the messaging and about the communication. And the better you get your messaging and your communication, and the broader it goes, and to a greater audience, to a more targeted audience, and you stay consistent at it, you will have more inbound leads. You will get more referrals. You'll have more repeat business because you're the one that's developing the relationship. No one wants to be sold, but most people like to buy. And they like to buy from people that they know, like, and trust. But how can they know about you? How can they develop any affinity for you? How can they build that crucial aspect of trust in you if you are failing to communicate? You're failing to communicate well. You're failing to communicate with some creativity, with some interest, with some actual care, some transparency, and most importantly, with consistency. All of this comes down to mastering and being consistent with the boring. I guarantee you, if you're not developing enough business, if you're not creating enough sales, the sales is the last thing that occurs on a chain of many, many events. And a lot of people just look at the last number, the gross revenue or gross profit, and they don't look at the 50 or 100 sub actions, priorities that need to happen priorly to make that occur. But when you master those things and you actually have, whether that team is internal or you're doing it personally or you have virtual assistants helping you with all those sub activities, those prior activities that lead to sales, you're going to always struggle. And you're going to end up giving business away to those that have mastered the boring and are consistent with these. This is true, again, of insurance industry, real estate, mortgages, healthcare, dentists, chiropractors. You need to master the boring within business development. Now, if you need someone to help you, please reach out to me. You can go to virtualcmo.expert. I will put the link in there, or you can just reach out to me on LinkedIn. Type in Edwin Dearborn in the search bar, and you will find me. I will also add the link into this podcast and in my YouTube video later on when I create the thumbnail and do all that fancy artistic stuff to my video. But stop leaving money on the table. Master the boring. Get good at this stuff. When you get good at this stuff, you're going to have more money for yourself, more money for your family, more money for your employees, more money for your dreams, your investment strategies. Get good at mastering the boring, and all will be better in your life. This has been another edition of Growth Driven. Make it a great day.